Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Non-compliance with the provisions of the revised mining charter will render mining companies in breach of the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act, with errant companies running the risk of being unceremoniously stripped of their mining licenses. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer is in the studio to tell us more. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Shannnon.
Now, it's been reported that the Minister can amend the mining charter as and when the need arises. What elements will be reported on every year?
Well, firstly, dealing with as and when. This is scaring people because they wanted to take the discretion out of the situation. And of course, this keeps ministerial discretion very much in it. So that is always a risk because, we have a particularly good minister at the moment, Susan Shabangu. But if you ask her, how long is your tenure? She won't be able to tell you. She's really at the mercy of the president. So you can have a new person coming in. That's why it's always very risky having too much ministerial discretion. And then on the whole issue of the number of items that you have to go through, well, they're as long as your arm. So I think they're not going to really excite foreign investors, probably put them off. And there are a few curved balls, a few surprises. The one that people didn't really imagine was going to emerge was the 0.5% of receipts by capital equipment suppliers having to go into a social fund. And also, who's going to administer the social fund? It's not specified. Of course, the hostel situation is hot. The National Union of Mine Workers wants those hostels removed by 2014, and I think that'll be a very good thing. The housing situation on a number of the mines has improved, and a lot of those hostels have already been converted, but it's going to have to be more universal. So we'll see the close monitoring of a checklist and a scorecard with weightings. The best weighting is on skills, so that's a good one. You get 25% for skills. But if you don't meet it, you run the risk of having your license taken away. Now, we've seen that sort of thing happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo. We have this First Quantum case, and First Quantum invested about $1 billion, and now someone else has taken over the mine. So it's not an encouraging situation when mining licenses are removed, and I think that we could see quite a few, we could see some litigation, we could see some court cases on the way.
Now, do you think the amendments will add to the uncertainty of regulations in the SA mining industry?
Well, there is a view that it could do that. And we've had enough uncertainty already, and you really want certainty. I was singularly unimpressed by the presentation. I mean, we were told to be there at a certain time. Mining Weekly was there well ahead of the time, and so were a lot of journalists. We proceeded then to wait for nearly an hour before the people started presenting. Some of us had taken a position in our chairs close to the top because we had been there, quite well in time. And we were told to move back, at a time when you then have to go too far back, after you've been there in time. We were then told that the server had broken down so that we couldn't get hard copies of what are vital changes to the mining charter, and that we should look on the website. Well, by the time questions came, people were saying, well, we don't know what questions to ask because we haven't seen the document. Then it started trickling through. Now, if you imagine that they've had since October 2009 to put that together, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. The presentation needs to be slick. And I'm not saying that this adds to the uncertainty, but there's also uncertainty aspects around it that I think need to be dealt with.
Now, what was the Chamber of Mines' response to the amendment?
Well, you could see from the Chamber of Mines' response, you saw a very gracious response from the president of the Chamber of Mines, Sipho Nkosi. But he also had a message in there saying, this isn't the final of this. We're going to have to continue to panel beat this thing. So I think it's time the panel beating ended, you know. I don't think they could carry on with change after change. Keep something, please. Keep it in place. Let's attain it before you start moving the goalposts. All right, there wasn't a huge movement of the goalpost. But surely they should have tried to avoid any movement at this stage. You know, there's enough problems. We're having duplicate mineral rights issues. We're having directorships hijacked, you know. We're having all sorts of things. Let's try and create some sort of stability and stop moving the goalposts and stop adding, you know, to an already difficult to achieve list of requirements. That's no longer a handshake. You know, the open hand is now turned into the clenched fist of the law. And if you don't actually get this right, you can be stripped of your mining license, or your mining license can be suspended. That is going to cause such a lot of uncertainty if that happens. But there are people baying for blood.
Martin, government has urged that people become more harsh towards non-compliance of the MPRDA. Can you tell us what the union's view on this is?
You see, some people are baying for blood. You know, the president of the National Union of Mine Workers is a great orator. He's a very pleasant individual. But he was saying, you know, don't allow these people to miss their targets. It's a sort of a one-sided thing. You know, I would think the unions would say, let's get more production so we can earn more money. What about their side of the party, you know? We're all in this as South Africans. Let's not be selfish, you know. Let's really look to the common good. We're all a whole lot of individualists, and they pull this way and that way. And we see, you know, union people asking for the government to be harsher and saying, look, if you had let us know about these errant miners earlier, we could have gone on strike at these mines and forced, you know, it's going to be force. This force is not going to get us anywhere. There's going to be resistance. There are going to be court cases. The big loser is going to be the South African economy. And until people wake up to that, I think that they are betraying the future generations of this country.
Well, thank you very much for your insight, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Shannnon.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time for more news and insight into what's happening in the mining world.